Imagine two people living in the same city. Their income is almost the same. A few years later, one of them owns assets, a house, savings, investments. The other is still stuck paying rent and monthly bills. What's strange is this: neither of them got lucky. No one won the lottery, and no one suddenly worked harder. The real difference was timing. When new money entered the economy, it didn't reach everyone at the same time. The people who received it early used that money to buy assets, houses, stocks, businesses. As this money moved through the system, demand increased and prices started rising. By the time the money reached everyone else, rent was higher, food was more expensive. So the problem wasn't a lack of money. The problem was getting the money late. Today, I'm going to explain an effect. In economics, this idea has a name. It's called the Cantillon Effect. The Cantillon Effect explains one simple truth: new money never enters the economy evenly. When governments or central banks create new money, it doesn't go directly to regular people. It goes first to banks, governments, and large institutions. These early receivers use the new money while prices are still low. They buy assets, real estate, stocks, businesses. Only later does this money reach employees, savers, and retirees, usually through salaries, wages, or benefits. By then, the cost of living is already higher, but income hasn't kept up. That's why inflation doesn't affect everyone the same way. It rewards those closest to new money and silently taxes those who receive it last. The Cantillon Effect isn't about how much money exists. It's about who gets the money first and who gets it last. That's why this effect matters in real life. During periods of inflation, you'll notice something interesting. Asset prices don't wait, they move fast. Housing prices rise, stock markets rise, but salaries move slowly. This is why many people feel like they're working harder but falling further behind. Inflation doesn't show up as a tax bill, it shows up quietly, through higher rent, higher food prices, and shrinking purchasing power. And the longer new money takes to reach you, the more value it loses along the way. This is also why inflation creates clear winners and losers. People who own assets or are closer to new money often benefit. People who rely only on salaries or keep most of their savings in cash usually feel the pressure, not because they made bad choices, but because of where they stand in the money flow. Understanding the Cantillon Effect isn't about becoming rich overnight. It's about understanding how the system works the way it does and why inflation feels unfair. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. This doesn't mean the system is broken. It means the system has rules, and most people never learn those rules. They're told to work harder, save more, and be patient, but no one explains how new money actually moves through the economy. The Cantillon Effect explains why effort alone isn't always enough. It shows why timing matters more than people realize, and why staying only in cash can quietly work against you during inflation. This is why many people start asking different questions. Not how do I earn more, but where does my money sit while prices are rising? Not why is everything getting expensive, but who received the new money first? Once you understand this, you stop seeing inflation as bad luck. You start seeing it as a system with predictable outcomes. This is where most people get stuck. They understand inflation, but they still treat it like a mystery. They blame prices, they blame governments, they blame markets, but they never ask how money actually enters their life. Because once you understand the flow, you stop reacting emotionally. You start thinking structurally. You realize that money doesn't lose value overnight. It loses value step by step as it moves from the first receivers to the last ones. And every step it takes, someone benefits and someone pays the cost. This is why understanding monetary systems is more powerful than chasing quick wins. It changes how you interpret news, how you see inflation headlines, and how you think about your own position inside the economy. Not to predict the future, but to understand the present. This understanding leads to a quiet shift in mindset. You stop obsessing over short-term prices. You stop panicking at every headline because you realize something important. Inflation is not a single event, it's a process. And once you see it as a process, you start asking better questions about your own position. Not emotionally, but strategically. You begin to notice where your income comes from, how fast it adjusts, and how exposed it is to rising prices. You start seeing the difference between money that reacts to inflation and money that moves before it. This is why awareness starts to matter more than effort. Because two people can work just as hard, save the same amount, and still end up in completely different places, simply because one understands how money flows through the system and the other doesn't. And this is why the Cantillon effect isn't just an economic theory, it's a lens, a way to see why some people always seem one step ahead and others feel like they're constantly catching up, no matter how disciplined they are. At this point, the question isn't whether inflation exists. The real question becomes, where do you stand in the flow of new money? And that's the part most people never think about. Money isn't just something you earn, it's something that moves. And where it reaches you in that movement can quietly shape your entire financial life. The Cantillon effect doesn't tell you what to buy, when to invest, or how to get rich. It simply gives you awareness. Awareness of timing, awareness of position, awareness of how the system actually works, not how we're told it works. Because once you understand how new money flows, you stop blaming yourself for everything. You stop thinking you're behind because you're lazy or unlucky. You realize you're inside a system that rewards early access and punishes late arrival. And when you see that clearly, you don't panic, you don't rush, you observe. You adapt, and you make decisions with your eyes open. That's not financial advice, that's financial clarity. And once you have clarity, you're no longer playing blind. If you enjoyed this video, please like it to support us. Watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. Watching on Facebook, follow our page, so you never miss our upcoming videos. Until next time, take care.